Anyway, let's get back to the most kick-like country, Israel. Threats of all-out war grow between Israel and Hezbollah, a country that also hates another guy by the name of Hassan. This time, I'm, of course, talking about Hassan Nasrallah, which is the general secretary of Hezbollah in Lebanon. Israel doing the classic, we're a fascist country that is trying to do a final solution, but let's open up a new war front. That'll work this time around, trying to, move their interest to Lebanon.
Last week, Israeli generals approved a plan to attack Lebanon, while Hezbollah leader Hassan Nasrallah recently warned if it comes to war, the group will fight Israel on land, sea, and air, and also inside Israel itself.
Ben Wiedemann is in Lebanon, where life goes on as the shadow of war looms large.
It's a day of joy and celebration here in South Lebanon. Israeli forces are just about 5 miles away from here, but nonetheless, here in the town of Hasbaya, there's a wedding going on. It didn't seem right to spoil
Mashallah,
a
mashallah.
day for newlyweds Taimur and Fatin with questions about the dark clouds hovering over Lebanon. But one guest told us off camera, we're celebrating here while war is around the corner. Hasbaya has been spared the worst of the barrages and counter-barrages between Israel and Hezbollah. Here they stop anyone from firing towards Israel. Parliament member Ilyas Jarade was elected to represent Christians in this area.
Majority of the southern people, majority of the Lebanese people,
from
all sects, all religions, all parties, they are, in one way or another, they are committed with the Palestinian.
Oh, thank you.
Everyone we spoke with had a completely contrary opinion. Few people wanted to speak on camera about the looming danger of war for fear of repercussions. Off camera, we got an earful. There is zero appetite for escalation, little support for Hezbollah.
CNN! What are you doing? Oh, off camera, hey guys, I'm hanging out with my friends. They're just off camera, you can't see them. Classic Nathan Fielder tweet turned into a mother-f***ing article. They're pre-firing their condemnations of Hamas, bro. Hezbollah this time, Hezbollah. Dude, it's always SOS Cuba, free Cuba from communism. SOS Lebanon, free Lebanon from Hezbollah. SOS Gaza, free Gaza from Hamas. Whoever America is interested in fucking up, it's just there's always people going, please, my people yearn for freedom. Free Iran, free myself, free my boys. Yeah, free China from the CCP. We want the Falun Gong. Free Iran by nuking Tehran. We want the MEK. I take your point, but do you think a lot of the Lebanese beyond the most core elements of the Shia community actually support Hezbollah? Many Lebanese blame Hezbollah for the country's political deadlock and economic ruin. Okay, first of all, people can believe a multitude of different things inside of a country. That doesn't make it correct. Secondly, ultimately, if given the choice between who is the worst political entity here, the answer is identical to what you see in fucking Gaza, which is it's still Israel. That's it. It's still Israel. You don't have to fucking love Hezbollah to be like, Israel should not invade Lebanon. It did it already, and it failed, okay? Why? Because of Hezbollah. Israel at this point basically is the Hillary Clinton of countries. Anytime she gets involved, everyone goes, oh, okay, they're the bad guys. Never mind. And the people resisting against Hillary Clinton, they must be the good guys. That's what's going on. The South was deserted by the government. That's why Hezbollah exists. They literally let Israel in, and Hezbollah was the only answer to kick them out. Exactly. It's like people don't understand how this group organized and like why it fucking exists. Lebanon as a country, or rather more clearly as a project, is already, you know how the old saying goes, like, oh, two Jewish people, 3 different opinions. It's like Lebanese politics is even worse than that. It is impossible to decipher. It is the most sectarian, most insane fucking country in terms of its governance. It's fundamentally broken alongside like ethnic boundaries, religious boundaries. It is fucking ridiculous. Ultimately, it doesn't matter. You know what's fucking unifying? Unless you're like a phalangist, ultra-nationalist Christian psychopath who rabidly wants to do a pogrom to every Muslim in Lebanon, with the exception of that one unique group, which of course aligned with Israel, by the way. The Sabra and Shatila massacres were conducted by those guys. Unless you're like a literal fucking terrorist, there's one guy that is the worst guy in the room. That one guy is Israel. It is the unifying principle. Look at fucking Yemen. Dudes that were literally murking one another in Yemen. Different groups that were unironically fighting against one another while there was an ethnic cleansing going on in Yemen, all rose up in arms and were like, nah, fuck this shit, dog. Okay, Ansar Allah, you're good. You're good in my fucking book. I know I was killing you months ago, but honestly, you guys are fucking dope now. I take it back. I take back everything I said. I was unfamiliar with your fucking game because guess what, dude? We really like what you're doing, resisting against Israel's apartheid, resisting against Israel's ethnic cleansing, and fucking, taking over ships in the Red Sea. Yeah, the evacuated president of Yemen literally said, I support the Houthis in their blockade. I don't know. There's quite a few people in Lebanese politics, particularly Maronite Christian politicians, blaming Hezbollah if a war breaks out. No, I know. I already covered the bases a little bit on that front. And yes, Lebanese politics is unimaginably complicated, in my opinion, and very difficult to parse through. But having said that, I don't know how well that shit will fucking stick inside of Lebanon if Israel does end up once again occupying southern Lebanon.
85-year-old Abu Nabil has seen it all. War and civil war, invasions and occupation. War is ruination, he says. In war, everyone loses, even the winner. Abu Nabil knows of what he speaks. Since October, Israel and Hezbollah and its allies have been engaged in low-intensity warfare, largely limited to the border. If full-scale war breaks out, that war will spread well beyond the frontier on both sides.
Israel about to fucking create a situation where there is no more sectarian infighting because it becomes the United State of Hezbollah. Hezbollah came into power and existence as a consequence of the last fucking time Israel tried to do some fuck shit in Lebanon. What are you doing? Israel literally is the greatest ally of Iran at this point in the region, in the same way that Vladimir Putin is the best ally for NATO. Like, not a better adversary could ever exist for NATO. The great unifier. I've said this before. Invading Ukraine was so fucking unimaginably bad as a move by Vladimir Putin. It literally gift wrapped the greatest gift of all time to every NATO general. Okay, they should be fucking on their hands and knees kissing the altar of Vladimir Putin every goddamn day of the week. Israel's kind of doing that right now by unifying a region against it. The great unifier, Israel. Netanyahu, ready to make a partial deal with Hamas, says Rafah offensive is almost done, which is weird because, like, what the fuck happened? I thought he had a full deal.
State Antony Blinken is set to meet with Israel's defense minister today in Washington.
War criminal, Yoav Gallant, by the way. Yoav Gallant, the war criminal, who currently has an application out for a warrant for arrest.
Meanwhile, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says the IDF is close to completing a ground offensive in Rafah. He says the military will shift its focus to the northern border, where fighting against Hezbollah has intensified. Netanyahu also says that he's ready to make a partial deal with Hamas to return some hostages still being held captive. Hamas insists that any agreement must include a permanent ceasefire.
Well, in his very first interview with Israeli journalists since before the October 7th attacks, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu told the live audience the intense phase of fighting against Hamas in Gaza's most southern city was nearly over. But when asked about the Israeli proposal President Biden outlined 6 weeks ago for a ceasefire and hostage release deal with Hamas, Netanyahu said, and I'm quoting here, "If there is an agreement, it will be an agreement on our terms."
I thought this was your terms. What's going on? Everyone in the media told me that this was your deal. Joe Biden told me that this was your deal. Anthony Blinken kept saying this was your deal. That was 6 weeks ago. Sorry, not 6 months ago. 6 months ago is when Hamas actually brought forward this deal, literally the same exact deal. That was among many others. But 6 weeks ago, Joe Biden unveiled this program, said this is Benjamin Netanyahu's own deal. He made it himself. He loves the deal. This is his own fucking deal. A 3-phase program that was suspiciously similar to the deal that Hamas had put on the table, which Anthony Blinken personally admitted it was the identical proposal, the Hamas proposal. So what happened? What happened? How did we get here? I don't get it. It's your deal. What's going on? What the fuck is this about? Benjamin Netanyahu, since the deal was unveiled 6 weeks ago at this point, has consistently poo-pooed the deal over and over again. Israeli officials have shit on the deal. Israeli officials have shit on Netanyahu. Netanyahu's own party, Likud, had MKs, Knesset members that have actually shit on Netanyahu for proposing this deal. Netanyahu kept the deal close to the chest. Turns out Biden revealed it and maybe was a little too enthusiastic about certain aspects of this deal. Specifically, the parts where phase 1 moves into phase 2. Phase 1 has a ceasefire. Phase 2 has a permanent cessation of hostilities. This is exactly what the people were looking for. This is exactly what people have been demanding for a long time. Benjamin Netanyahu, on the other hand, kept saying, no, you don't understand. We want the hostages. We're going to keep bombing after we get the hostages. Now, that's really weird because that's not what the deal is. Everybody in the Israeli center-left media is like, no way, even though this is one that HasanAbi told the hostage families before the deal was even unveiled. I watched Channel 14 today and found myself in a strange position agreeing with them as they defended him. The presenter said, I don't understand the surprise. Wasn't this obvious the entire time? He's been saying we won't end the war. Yeah. So Benjamin Netanyahu has kept saying, we're not going to end the war. We're not going to end the war. We're not going to end the war. No matter what, we're not ending the fucking war. We're not. Don't say that we're ending the war. Well, the deal itself that supposedly you presented ends the war. Now, it doesn't just stop there, though. Benjamin Netanyahu, according to him, this deal sucks, even though it's his own fucking deal. But what did America do? Did America choose to pressure Israel in this time process? As I said 6 weeks ago, America now has to put the actual clamps on Israel and pressure them into accepting their own deal, which is weird. If it's your own deal, why the fuck would you need pressure to accept it? And America, predictably, as I said 6 weeks ago at this point, did exactly what they've been doing throughout this 9-month process. They just let Israel ride and say whatever the fuck they want, undermining America's influence. That's the situation. What stops Israel from just lying and saying they'll accept the permanent ceasefire and then reneging on the deal once they have the hostages? Well, that's a great question. That's precisely the reason why Hamas was like, we love this deal. This is our deal. We are fans of this deal. We wrote it. Since Joe Biden came out with this proposal, Hamas has not once said, we don't like the deal. Fuck this deal. We don't like it at all. Hamas kept saying, we love the deal. It's our deal. We are fans of this deal. Can you please give us a timeline and also assurances on how phase 2 is going to work? How do we move from phase 1 to phase 2? We want to write it down. And we want to get some assurances in broad daylight. To which Israel was like, assurances? No, you give us the hostages, we keep bombing you. So what did America do in this entire process? They unveiled this proposal, said it was Israel's proposal. What did they do? Israel kept undermining their sentiment. Well, they turned around and said, Hamas doesn't like the deal. Hamas is fucking up the deal. Someone needs to pressure Hamas to put forward the deal. Hamas never said they don't like the deal. They said, no, we like it. We just want assurances over and over and over again. So if you were exclusively like your parents watching MSNBC, watching CNN, and not watching the HasanAbi broadcast, you might be a little confused. You're like, what the fuck's going on? It's been 6 months at this point. 6 weeks at this point, sorry. Where is this deal? Where is this proposal? I thought it was Israel's proposal. Now, mainstream media is covering Netanyahu ready to make partial deal with Hamas. Well, that doesn't seem like the deal itself, does it? Why is Netanyahu trying to make a partial deal? Is it because Hamas is saying, we don't want this fucking deal? Is that how you're going to cover it? The inconsistencies are glaring. Minor correction, Biden unveiled the ceasefire deal on May 31st, just over 3 weeks ago, not 6. Sorry. Feels like 6. It's been 3. Where is the fucking deal? Why is this Israel's own deal and yet only one party, Israel, is sullying its own deal? It's fucking up the deal. Now they're covering this as though Netanyahu is walking back from his own deal. Like I said, if you only watch mainstream media coverage of the supposedly Israeli deal that Hamas is refusing to agree to, you have to be asking some serious questions about why Israel is consistently vocally opposed it for weeks since its public release by Biden. Unrelated, but just so you understand, the show he was interviewed on is called The Patriots. The discussion was about how the Nazis had a Western culture to fall back on once they were defeated. So you could talk to them in the same language. For Hamas and Hezbollah, this is all they know. The token leftist on the show said, actually, Japan committed pretty horrific stuff against the Chinese too. And the rest of the table answered, you're right. Then let's do to them what the U.S. did to Japan. That's great. Very patriotic.